Hi guys, welcome to another video. Today we'll be doing a range test with the Hubsan Zino 2 Plus. So before the flight, let's do some checking on the app. I'll look through, I'll close this FPV HD mode. I have to turn this off in order to record in 60 FPS in 4K. And once this is turned off, let me do a bit of checking on the smart battery. Okay, just doing some pre-flight check, and I also checked the weather. There's some slight wind coming against me. I think with this huge bigger drone, it won't be much of a problem. Okay, so I'm in the FPV screen now. I'm tilting the drone a bit on my left and right because I can see it afar, even though I think even up to 800 meters I can still see this drone up in the air because of the brighter light on the drone. Unlike the minis, you can hardly notice the craft after it leaves you like 100 meter at night. So this is definitely better. When flying at night, you can see much clearer. You can see your drone from afar, and it has a better wind resistance when doing long range. So I'm traveling at 10 meter per second now. So this is like the standard speed it goes in normal mode. Battery is a bit low now, lowered by about 6%. I think we started at 99. Because I spent some time idling, tinkering with the return to home altitude, which I've set at 120, not going any further, not going any higher. And yeah, now we are climbing to 120, and we'll remain at that altitude for the rest of our flight. So you can see that there's a wind coming against us. The speed is dropping. It's maintaining. The craft is moving a little, and I'm also screen recording. I think the screen recording is set at 1080p. I will change it later on, halfway through the flight. Okay, so today's flight will be we're returning at probably about 65% battery, and this battery is much bigger than that of the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro and also the DJI Mini. This is rated at, I suppose, 3800 milliwatt hour. So usually this drone can hover at about 35 minutes, I think max for this kind of situation, but because we are traveling a bit far, and we need to be a bit more cautious, especially now it's at night time. So I'm just tinkering around the camera parameter, so I can select the exposure for the camera, but not yet for my Hubsan Zino Mini Pro. So here we are at almost 2 kilometers. You can notice that the flight is very bumpy, but the gimbal is still holding pretty well. And the speed is also reducing a lot. Just now we started at 10, now it's like 8.4. But there's no issue with this drone because it can handle a pretty strong wind. And okay, so you see that the battery is dropping pretty quick. Now it's like 83 already, and we are just 2 kilometers. And if you are curious, you can watch back the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro range test I've done on the same route, and also with the DJI Mini. You can do a comparison by yourself. But today we'll just focus on the Zino 2 Plus, which it has a pretty good range as compared to a lot of smaller drones, of course, at this price range. And it has a bigger battery. But the downside is that it is not a very stable drone. Its downward sensor is not very good to hold its position even though it's hovering. like on low altitude. But for doing long range FPV, this is a very good craft, I believe. And I saw that some people can do like up to 8 kilometers, but I'm not sure I would do that even. I think going this far is quite risky already. Even though I've bought the Hubsan K for this craft, just in case it lost, I can top up a bit to get a new one. But anyway, we can see that now I'm recording at 4K. I'll try to smaller the FPV screen for you to see the quality. I think it's not very that special because the lens isn't that huge, and also it's dark, you can't see much here. So at 3 kilometer now, we are starting to slow down again. There's a lot of wind. I'm not sure why. I don't quite feel it down here, but at maybe 120 meter above, it is quite bumpy. So we are looking at the battery. So what I need to do is just keep a close eye on this. So on my last flight, the Zino Mini Pro, I've done like 4.5 kilometers on this path with 65% battery. But this drone supposedly it can go faster. I think it can reach more than that at 65%. But because of the wind, the drone is not moving too fast. Okay, you can notice some choppiness on the FPV screen. Looking at it now, trying to move the gimbal to see if the respawn has any lag, but still looks barely acceptable. So this is the previous generation of the transmitter. They call it what, Synclass. Don't know how they pronounce it correctly. But I suppose the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro has a much better range in terms of like FPV signal. This one they claim they can do up to 9 kilometers. Never done it before, but someone else in YouTube seems to have done quite a long range with this. And now we're at 4 kilometers at 70% battery. I do notice that the Hubsan GPS signal doesn't go up more than 16 or 18. I'm not sure, sometimes I saw like DJI they can get about 20 plus. And prior to this flight, before taking off, it took me maybe a couple of minutes waiting for the GPS to hold up, to lock a few more satellites. I think it requires at least 7 to be able to fly. So now we are at 4.5 kilometers. So we are at 68% battery. Let's push this further, and I think it can go up to 5 kilometers. Let's make that a target for today's flight. And you do notice the FPV is not very good. There's surely a lot of lag. You don't see this in the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro anymore at this range. So pretty good for that. And at 66%, let's make it till 5 kilometers. We should have plenty more battery left when returning due to the tailwind. And we also check when turning back during GPS return to home to see if once the drone turn, is it very choppy. So now I'm clicking on the GPS return to home. So it is very choppy. You can barely see the live feed of the FPV screen. So now it is heading back. So we'll see if it has any speed lock when coming back with the tailwind. Okay, seems like it is hovering at 10.9 meter, not go further than 11. Oh, 11 now, 11.3. Okay, so once it senses 11 plus, it will try to move to 10 again. So there's definitely some kind of mechanism to slow it down. Okay, let's see, we have a 61%, 60% battery, and at this point I'm trying to move my stick lower, trying to lower the craft to see if anything happens, but this time I couldn't go down, I couldn't push it down when the return to home is activated. So let us wait until we are much closer to our starting point, then I will turn off the return to home and I will land it manually. So on the battery, we started at 17.1 and now we are at 15.3. What I don't like about this battery is that it is not interchangeable with the Hubsan Zino 2 battery. You can't use a Hubsan Zino 2 battery on this drone. So, and the drone battery is pretty expensive comparing to the drone itself. It's about 20 or 30% of the price of this drone. So I'm not very sure how the sales goes with this drone, because definitely not many people is willing to get this drone with the price that is pretty pricey on the spare parts and all the accessories. Yes, it comes with an ND filter, but you can look online. I think the sales of this Hubsan Zino 2 Plus isn't doing very well. But I think it has to do with a lot of limitation also, because this drone is too big. In some countries they kind of doesn't encourage you to have a bigger drone. You need to register this and that. So I think future drone from this size will be slowly dwindle, especially from the Zino 2 series. So there maybe there's no more Zino 3, we do not know. So we'll see. Okay, now we are getting close to 2.8 kilometers. The battery is not dropping much anymore with the help of a tailwind. So it is cruising, very stable. You can see from the footage. And there's plenty of building below, but the path I'm going through is actually like a road, so there's nothing underneath. Let's see what we have here. Okay, up next we will try to speed up the drone, because we change it to sport mode and see how fast we can go. Now we are hovering at a speed of 11.6. Okay, I'll turn to sport mode and see how fast it can go. So this is still under return to home. The speed doesn't increase. So I might have to turn off return to home. Even on film mode, it is fixed at 11.6, 12. So let's check the battery. We are at 2100 milliamp at 3.7 volt on each cell. So this is pretty balanced. We are 12 minutes to the flight, almost 13, and we have about 37 degrees Celsius on the battery. So the battery is pretty cool. Okay, of course with the wind blowing us from behind. So this drone is actually pretty noisy, even when you just keep it on, because there's a fan inside the drone that cools the motherboard and the
cancel return
chipset, I suppose. And let's at this point, you see I'm not moving. Actually, I'm at film mode. I thought that I can push the stick, but it's just too slow. The speed is like locked at 0.5, so I can't go further, and until I notice that. So let's switch it on to sport mode and see how fast I can go. Normal mode and sport. Okay, let's go. And I'm also descending at the same time. 13, 14. Okay, I think I can go further. 17, 18. Yeah, 18.67. So this is pretty fast. Almost the same speed as my Inspire 1. Okay, see, with sport mode, we can get back to our destination way faster. That is one thing I like about this drone. You can go very fast if you want to. It's almost like double the speed in the beginning. So we are closing in. So I have one big fear when coming back, because this is a bigger drone and my landing pad is actually supposedly for my minis. So I'll try to land this thing. And also this drone is not very stable when hovering. You'll notice that you go up and down, so this is a pretty difficult landing. I'll try to hand catch it if things doesn't work well, and because I seldom fly it off my helipad, so because of also with the instability of this drone. So let's try. I'll have my camera capture the moment, and if things doesn't go well, I'll just land it downstairs. I'll land it somewhere else, since I have plenty of battery left. Okay. Let's turn off the recording and I'll focus on landing now. Okay. Okay, so I'm receiving a warning sign, the battery warning sign, that I'm at 40% when I'm landing. So there's plenty of battery power left. And let's see how we land this thing. Okay, I'm trying to slowly go. Come at me slowly. I'm afraid the downward sensor will push the drone up. That's a very scary landing. I might not do it anymore, flying this drone out from the balcony. And I hope you enjoy this video. If you learned something, give it a like. And thank you for watching, and do fly your drone safely. Goodbye.